Hello all, welcome to my mini tutorial on a website that I created for music awards. So firstly, I'm going to be showing you how the website works, and then I'm going to run through the code that was used to create the website. So just looking right in front of us, there is a website that has a nav bar, and the nav bar has home page, nomination, vote, and learn coding. Yes, this is a very informative website because you also get to learn how to code. All right. So first of all, discussing the page in front of us. The nomination page uses something called parallax scrolling and also responsive frames to be able to scroll the background image. For example, just look at this, scrolling the images. So scrolling, and then here's the column. Yes. So there's the parallax scrolling effect that was used to make the background images scrollable. Then there is the ability to actually put a video in your web page, and this was done using responsive frames. And so you can see, for example, if I play this song, it's actually going to play in the website. All right, let me pause that. So going to the home page. The homepage basically tells us about Kachi's Music Awards. What is it about? It informs us about, what the award aims to achieve, and then also gives users, an informative and instructive way to actually cast their vote. If you click this link, it takes you to the voting page, and if you click this button, it takes you to watch the tutorial video. So let's do this. Voting page, click on this. You get to the voting page. You can also get to the voting page by clicking on this tab here called vote. And in this voting page, what we're doing here is basically to cast our vote. So let me say I put my name, Kechi Okere, and then I put Instagram, but then I didn't choose email address. Let me say I chose Taylor Swift and I chose Adele. If I try to vote, it's gonna say please fill in this field because it's important that you put your email because we are going to be sending you updates. So let me say I decide to put in my email now, and yeah. And then when I submit my vote, it says thanks for voting. Hello, Kachi. And then it lists everything that I said. I heard about them from Instagram. This is the video of the year that I voted for. This is the song of the year. And this is my email address where they will send updates to. So now let's go back to the other page. All right. So we get an idea of this page. And then here is basically the learn coding page. And there's nothing here. This is basically a placeholder, this video here, because I'm going to be inserting this video that I create inside here. Yes. So this is more like an inception because I'm going to be inserting this video inside here. So let's dive straight into the code. All right. So for the code, I had 4 files basically. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4 HTML files and 1 index.js file. So in this home.html, for every HTML page that you're creating, it's important that you start with, the doc.html, and then there's the heading part. There's you also putting the links to the various Bootstrap or like Google fonts that you want. The styling here is basically to give my page a particular, look. So for example, the column side says here column side, column middle. This is basically to, let's go back to the page. Let me go to the home page. This was basically to design this part of the page to make it, spectacular and different from the rest. So then I had to highlight it in the styling section. And this FA was also for, the Instagram symbol, the YouTube symbol, the header. This is where I inserted the image. This one here. Yeah, so that's what I used to insert this image right here. So let's go back. So the fun parts, this is for creating the nav bar. It's important that you put your navigations in, in a list. So for this one, we use an unordered list, and an ordered list uses something called UL. So here I created the nav bar. So basically, beginning of nav bar to end of nav bar section. After that, the carousel section, and this is basically for the slides. This block here helps us to put buttons in the slides, and I'll show you what that means. You see these 3 buttons here, 1, 2, 3. All right, this was made possible using this block of code. And now for the other, slides, you have you just basically creating, carousel items for each of the pages, or for each of the slides, sorry. So for example, these are 3 slides. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So if you go here, yeah, this is the second slide. It's also important to note that it is transitioning. So just watch this. It's going to turn to the next slide in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Change? No, not now. Change, please. All right. I think it's shy. Okay. So now it's changed. Yeah. So I basically can decide to the reason why it didn't change immediately was because my cursor wasn't there. But then if I take out my cursor and just let it do its thing, it'll change. So for example, you saw this changed, as soon as possible. So let's go back to the code. Important code. All right. So we've looked at the creation for the carousel slides. Next is to look at the content of the page, which is the get to know you part. And this is basically, just using paragraphs, ordered lists, and buttons. So this is where I created the button that when you click it, it takes you to the tutorial page video. Yes, this tutorial that I'm doing is actually going to be there. So another thing that I did was to create a bottom column section where users can get information about the company, like the contact information, like the number, email address, the opening hours when you can contact us support, and then like links to our Instagram page. So this is basically using rows and columns, so everything is in one row. Okay, so highlighted here shows the beginning of the row here, and then these are, because there were 3 columns, so this is the column on the side for the left column, and this is column side for the right column. This is a column middle, which basically implements what's in the middle. And that's why if you go up to the style, you see that this column style is implemented for both the left and right column, because it has that unique identification in the block of code. And same here for the middle. Right, let's go down. So for the footer, go down to the footer. Here it is. So this is the beginning of the footer and this is the end of the footer. So for the footer, I used, a fixed footer so that, it just remains at that part of the page. And I'll show you how I did that just in a minute. And then to be able to show the last modified date, I used JavaScript. And it's important that you denote your JavaScript with this script tag, and also close it with the script tag here. And then I did that and closed my body, closed my HTML. So now let me show you how, using CSS, I made my footer fixed. All right. So if you see here, position fixed, so it remains at the bottom of the page. So yes, that is for the home page. Let's go back and have a view. This is for the home page. All right, so this is all that I said. The column, the footer down here. Let's put this here. So this is the footer down here, last modified. Yeah. So now let's go to the nomination page. How did I create this lovely page that has parallax scrolling effect and also embedded YouTube videos? So now let's go and see that. For the nomination, the HTML file, I would not go through the navbar again because I spoke about that. So now let's look at the scrolling effect. To do the scrolling effect, you have to, use something called parallax. And right here, I put the images in 3 sections. So this is the first section. This is the beginning of the first section. Just highlight it. And this is the end of the first section. So this shows the size for the video of the year. So look at this. This. All right. So this shows the parallax, indicating the parallax section. And then this is for the other section that did not have anything in it, but just an image. So you see here, parallax static. So there's nothing there. And then this is for the last section, and I named it parallax BG2. So now let's see how this was styled. Let's go back to the style. All right. So there's the, let's start with this. You see that I put a particular background image for BG1 and BG2. And then for the static one, I just put like a motivational quote to inform the people that, you have to keep on fighting to win, never quit. Okay, I'm done with my motivational speaker. All right, let's get back to the code. We see this part here is basically used to format the parallax, that's the background. So I reduced this from 100% to 90%. So if this was at 100%, it would basically fill the page, but then I put this to 90%. So each of this, 1, 2, 3, takes up 90% of the page. And then you see like the image and everything is set to centered, and like the background, this color here, it is white, means that every text here will be in white. But then there was a section where I overwrote the color and changed it to a different color for, just to ensure that you can view the content. So I can actually take out this, okay, and it'll still work fine because I have overridden it somewhere else and said the color should now be black. So that's why you see this is a black color instead of white. Okay, so normally it would have been a white color, but because I overrid it, it is black. All right, so we're looking at the wrapper. So this is also to encapsulate each of the backgrounds and the images. And so you see, I also reduced this to 90 VH. And yeah, that's, it's important if you want to replicate this, that you insert this part of the code to your style.css. Yeah, from here to here. So this highlighted section, wrapper, that section, parallax here and here has to be inserted in your the CSS file. And scrolling back down, you just have to make sure that the class section has this defined. It has this defined, so it knows which one is actually referring to. Right. So then for embedding images, it's important to use, iframe. Okay. And I'm just going to show you how to get that, especially from a YouTube video. If you just take a normal YouTube link and post here, it's not going to work because it is not an embedded form. So now I'll show you how to take a YouTube image. I'm going to show you how to take an embedded link. All right, so let us go to this link. So basically, to embed, post this, to embed a YouTube video, go to share, embed, copy. So you copy this and you take it to, the sections where you want to paste it. So for example, I want to paste it here. You see, it puts like a lot of things that you probably wouldn't need. So let me take off some things that I would not need. So here you have it. You can decide to change the width and change the height, but then this will work. It's important that you always take an embedded link and not just the normal YouTube link. All right, so for that page, I've taken you through how to embed a video, how to do the parallax scrolling effect. So yes, let's go back to this page. So yes, I've taken us through how to do the parallax scrolling effect and also how to embed the videos. So now let's go to the voting tab. Here in the voting section, I'm going to show you how to create this form. So this is basically the file, the code that I used. So before you start the creation of any form, it's important that you use the form tag, begin with the form tag, and close with the form tag. So let's go back up. All right, so you can see here that in this form tag is an action that refers to /voting, and I'm going to show you this in the index.js file, how like it's used to, communicate with this. And then the method is to post. So I'm also going to show you here in index.js file when we get to this. So but first, let's look at how the form was created. So basically, this right here, personal details, is the beginning tab. That's this tab, right? So to do that, you basically say BG secondary, that's for the gray color. If you want a blue color, you can say primary. Put your details, and then here is basically just, you create a row, so everything was in its own row. So for this row, it's for name. It's important that each of the rows or each of the, inputs has its own unique name, its unique identifier, so that when we're calling it in the index.js file, we know what we are talking to. So, and this required here makes it impossible for you to submit the form without filling in the required fields. So here's basically a block of how I created a name section. Here is for the email, so you can take note of that if you want to try to recreate this. Then this is for the option. You saw that there was a drop-down list where you would select how you heard about, the voting. And for this, we used, the select and the option tags. So here you basically list out all the various options that the users can select. And this is basically a placeholder, like, please select from the options. And, they are kind of like informed of what to do. So the same thing, I did. So this is for the options. Then for here, I used the radio button. And this was basically to ensure that the user can only vote for one person. So for that, I used the input type as radio. And it had its own unique identifier like VOY1, VOY2, VOY3, VOY3, just like that. And then each of the video of the year has like name VOY as its own identifier. So I did the same thing for the song of the year. So yeah, so this is basically how I put the one for Easy on Me by Adele. And just basically taking note of the groups that the group or the role that your checklist or your buttons are meant to be on is very important. So yeah, after that I put a button here for voting. So here I use button primary because I wanted a blue, feel like a blue color. So then I use primary here. And then it has to be of type submit. So when you click it, it actually does a submit action. So yes, that's what I did for the voting page. here. So this is it. So now let's do this. Let's try to submit a vote. Let me see, I heard from LinkedIn, Beyonce, and then I submit my vote. So now we submitted our votes and we get a response from the server that says, thank you for voting, and basically gives you back, a response like everything you filled. So how did we achieve this? Let's go and see. Let's go find out. So now we basically use, Node.js, Express to be able to achieve that. It's important that before you start, you have installed Node.js in your system, and you also kind of like install the Express module that you'll be using. So there are two things. Let me just write this here because my terminal is currently in use. Let me write this here. You can either do npm install express, right? Or you do npm init, and it basically kind of like provides you with the modules that you need. All right, so let's jump right into it. So because I said we're using Express, we have to declare that we require Express. And then here also kind of like points to the public underscore HTML folder, which all our files are. So, I mentioned something about the posting and the actions that the form is meant to take. So here you see /vote. If you come here and go back to the top of the form, you also see, this is it, action is to vote, and then the method is also post. All right, so back here. So here basically we are saying console.log request.body, and that's just what enables us to be able to see this here. All right, to be able to see all this here in our console because we have declared it there. All right, so then for this one, we are basically declaring names, email, video of the year, and we're retrieving the information from the form. And how to do that is to use the identifiers in the forms. So for example, take notes: name, email, VOY, SOY, media. If you come here, you see name, email, name, media. So just like that, just to indicate what is going to pick from. So this is request.body.email, but you can also shorten it and say REQ. So now here is basically to, design the page and make it look a little bit presentable. So here I basically, did the response.send, and then started my HTML file. So here I'm using this bootstrap link to be able to format my page. And then here I'm basically just saying hello so, and to know who the person is, you have to put in this name that you declared at the top. Same with awareness, video of the year, song of the year, email. So that was basically how I was able to achieve that. And then you come here and you close it, and if you see this thing here, is used to like enclose the HTML section in the .js file. And here also you're saying let it listen on port 3000. I can change it and say listen on port 8000. I'll come here again and say listen on port 8000. That's going to work. But let me take it back. So let's stick to 3000 for now. All right. So this is basically how I was able to, achieve this. So let's go back. I've been able to explain this to you, and then this and this and this. So remember, like I said, when you click this watch tutorial video, it takes you to this video that I'm currently doing. Yes. So this is basically a placeholder, right? When I'm done, I'm going to put in this video right here and post it out. I hope you enjoyed watching this learning video, and you should probably start